There are 4 other keys almost as famous as WS to Z, X, C, and V. Have you ever wondered why exactly those? Who decided that there would be the secret to cut, copy, paste, and undo? It was not a coincidence. The story behind this has a little bit of genius, a little bit of jealous corporations, and of course, a touch of irony. The story begins in the 1970s at Xerox, in a laboratory that looked more like Dexter's workshop than an office. There worked Larry Tesler, a computer scientist with a particular obsession. He wanted to eliminate the modes of all interfaces. At that time, to delete text, the computer required switching from a reading mode to an editing mode, as if the user had to announce intentions before performing each action. To Larry, that was nonsense. His proposal was something radical. The computer should adapt to human logic, and not the other way around. Select something, change it, move it, and done. That line of thinking led him to conceive a functionality that marked a before and after: cut, copy, and paste. For this, they tested it with the grandfather of Office software called Gypsy. In that program, Larry and his team implemented these actions for the first time. It was one of the first WYSIWYG environments, programs where the result on the screen matched what was going to be printed. For us today, that is normal, but back then, it was not. The idea of the clipboard, that invisible box that retained what you copied, to later place it somewhere else, was so intuitive that it became indispensable in the publishing world of the 70s. The simplicity of the idea was not its only merit. The true stroke of genius was in how it was integrated into the keyboard. Larry understood that users needed shortcuts easy to memorize and quick to execute. The letters chosen, Z, X, C, and V, were not random. X looked like crossed scissors, done. C was the initial of copy, done. V could be seen as an arrow pointing downwards, so it became paste. And Z evoked a zigzag, going back and forth, done, undo. But it was not only this artistic freedom that made it successful. On QWERTY keyboards, these 4 letters are side by side, on the lower left row, very close to the Control key. That closeness allowed them to be executed easily with the left hand, while the right hand operated the mouse. Larry was not only creating commands, he was designing ergonomics before that word even mattered. And the fact that these were letters rarely used in common English words helped too. They were available keys, free of strong associations. That made them easier to adopt as universal symbols for these functions. The big leap came in 1983 with Apple. In the Apple Lisa, the shortcuts were integrated with the Apple key, their version of Control. Later it became Command. With the chosen 4 letters, the complete family was established: copy, paste, and undo. 1 year later, the Macintosh inherited that scheme and brought it to thousands of homes and offices. The decision was not trivial. Lisa and the Mac not only adopted these commands, they made them part of a philosophy of usability. Thanks to Larry's work and Apple's commitment to graphical interfaces, cut, copy, paste, and undo went from being a laboratory experiment to everyday tools. The result was immediate. Even people without experience in computing understood them almost instinctively. Suddenly, anyone could manipulate documents as if using scissors and glue, but with the speed of a computer. Meanwhile, the PC universe followed another path. The first versions of Windows did not use these same shortcuts. Inspired by IBM standards, they used Ctrl Insert to copy and Shift Insert to paste. Not very comfortable. The turning point came with Microsoft Word for Windows, launched in the early 1990s. By then, it had already adopted Z, X, C, and V, partly because its version for Mac already used them. With Windows 3.1 in 1992, Microsoft decided to unify everything and fully embrace the Apple model. Ctrl-Z, Ctrl-X, Ctrl-C, and Ctrl-V became a universal standard. Windows, Linux, and Mac OS with Command all spoke the same language. And today, we use them without thinking, as if they had always been there. The universalization of these commands was not without conflict. Xerox PARC, the cradle of the concept, never capitalized on it. Apple, on the other hand, understood the potential, brought Larry and his team, and made it part of their product strategy. In 1988, Apple sued Microsoft, claiming Windows had copied the Macintosh graphical interface, including cut, copy, and paste. The trial lasted years, and Apple lost. The court ruled that many of those elements were too generic to be protected. That defeat, ironically, opened the door for these functions to become the heritage of the entire industry. In the 80s, the dominant word processor was not Word, but WordPerfect. Its shortcuts were based on function keys, practical for experts, but a nightmare for beginners. When Microsoft Word gained popularity with Z, X, C, and V, many professionals criticized it as a step backwards. But the market spoke. Casual users were the majority, and they preferred shortcuts easy to remember. Over time, WordPerfect lost ground to Microsoft Office. Behind these commands, there is a silent protagonist, the clipboard. Larry's idea to temporarily store information became one of the most versatile pieces of modern software, but it also has a dark side. Old browsers like Internet Explorer allowed websites to access the entire clipboard without permission. Malware exists that monitors what you copy and replaces it at the moment of pasting. The classic example, a Bitcoin address replaced to steal money. Add to that Trojans capable of reading passwords, card numbers, any sensitive text. And do not forget Windows 10, Windows 11, or Mac OS, which keep clipboard history synchronized with the cloud. Very convenient, yes, but risky. Data you thought was temporary can remain much longer than you imagine. The clipboard is powerful, but it must be treated with the same caution as a notebook where you write down your passwords. Of the 4 commands, the one with the biggest cultural impact was Ctrl-Z. Beyond its technical function, it became a symbol of the human desire to go back in time and correct mistakes. There are memes, jokes, even philosophical reflections around this fantasy. More than once, I made a mistake in real life and thought, really fast, Ctrl-Z, to see if it could be undone. What is fascinating is how a simple keyboard shortcut transcended the technical to become a metaphor. Ctrl-Z is not just undo in a document. It embodies the possibility of second chances. Larry Tesler never patented Z, X, C, and V. His philosophy was that these functions should be universal, part of the common language of computers. And so it was. Millions of people use them daily, without thinking about their origin. Larry did not get rich with his invention, but he left a deeper legacy. He changed the relationship between humans and computers. Thanks to his insistence on eliminating modes, millions today work with technology without feeling like they are fighting it. The next time you use Ctrl-Z, Ctrl-X, Ctrl-C, or Ctrl-V, remember, they are not just shortcuts, they are the result of a battle won against complexity, of ergonomic design, of legal battles between giants, and of a philosophy that put usability before property and profit. What we take for granted today, like duplicating text or files, moving them around, or correcting an error, was once revolutionary. And perhaps Larry's greatest triumph is that now we do it so naturally, we forget someone had to invent it.